Good morning, beautiful humans. Happy Wednesday to you. If you are new here or unfamiliar, I am Sharon Clear. I am a meditation guide, a hypnotist, a yoga instructor, and I'm here to help you clear your mind using alpha theta brainwave states and the practices I just mentioned. So today, I thought we would chat a little bit about identity. And if you haven't listened to any Ram Dass before, highly recommend. But I avoided listening to Ram Dass for a long time because I saw him as this sort of very heavy Buddhist influence. But I was so wrong. I mean, he definitely is into the Buddhism, but I think that the best thing about Ram Dass is that he is so down to earth. He expresses both his humanity and spirituality, and that dichotomy and yet that unity so well. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, is this identity. So he talks a lot about the suits that we wear. That, how you, when people ask what you do, like you identify yourself as your job, or you're in the ways that you stay busy, or as a mother, or, there's all these different identities that we can put on, right? And without those identities, then who are you? Who's the being behind the doing of that and the performance of that identity? So one of the quotes I pulled for us today, he says, "In most of our human relationships, we spend much of our time reassuring one another that our costumes of identity are on straight." Our costumes of identity. So we're performing, right, as to, in some certain extent, it can feel like you're performing and trying to be and take on this identity, almost to not see sort of the emptiness that might be behind that, right? Because it's not quite an emptiness, it's something a little bit bigger. The other quote I pulled along the same lines from Ram Dass, he says, "Treat everyone you meet like God in drag." God in drag. So I really like this idea of God in drag. Okay. So he talks about the suits that we wear, and then the God, the holiness behind you, right? God in drag. So I could go deep into analyzing that for you, but I think the more that you sit with that idea, right, the more it'll unfold in your own authenticity. So how do you identify when people ask you who you are? Who am I? How do you typically answer that question? What is it, the thoughts that come up, right? And how real, how permanent, how unwavering are those identities, right? The other quote that keeps coming to mind on this same topic is another quote from Alan Watson. He talks about, like, the tail doesn't wag the dog, right? Just because you have been somebody in the past and just because you've taken on this identity, nothing is tying you to that in the present moment, right? You're just a being, right? All of your doing, like, people might have come to see that identity on you, right? They might come to see your suit. In our human relationships, he says, we spend much of our time reassuring one another that the costume of identity is on straight, right? So we not only objectify ourselves into these identities, right? But we do so that other people know what we are, right? Trying to convince people, trying to objectify and make what I am so simple. But the truth is that you can change and be somebody new every day. In the next 5 minutes, you can decide to be something else entirely. And so be careful about what identities you're taking on, that you don't see them as just you, right? Or you are God in drag. These are just performative things, right? And everybody else, too, is an opportunity to see behind that, to see behind the costumes, the roles, the doing, and see divine beings behind those more superficial social identities that we often play with and perform. So, just a brief little chat, brief little talk for us today, something to think about, perhaps to grow into. And then I thought we would do a little bit of a hip opener. I don't know anything about astrology, but yesterday was the full moon in Sagittarius, and someone told me that Sagittarius rules the hips, and so I thought we would do a hip opener today. Just more of a restorative, gentle hip opener. And so I'm going to switch to some little elevator music for you. We're going to reset the scene, and you should do the same. Roll out your yoga mat. Definitely grab at least 2 pillows, maybe more, for our restorative hip opener today. Okay? So I will be right back with you. Take some time to set the scene, set up your space for some yoga, and I will do the same. And then we'll get started with a little hip opener. we've got a little bit of a strange camera angle going on here, but it'll be helpful because most of our restorative session will be lying down. So make sure that you roll out your yoga mat if you haven't already. And I have 2 small cushions from Chatra. My link for Chatra cushions is in the description. So we are going to start by lying back. You can set a pillow down for your head. So you can rest your head on a pillow if you need. If not, you can sit all the way back like you're in Shavasana, okay? And we're going to come into a reverse, a laying down tree pose. So the foot will come to match the knee or the ankle, whatever is best for you. And you can take your pillows and set them under the knee like so. If you want opening in the chest, you can come create your tree branches and tree pose by cactusing the arms, reaching the arms up overhead, coming out to a T. Just listen to the body and see what feels right to you today. We're just going to take a few moments here to settle in. In restorative yoga, it's very passive. If you feel muscles squeezing like you're holding your leg up, set another pillow underneath you like so. You can also use a block or a bolster, whatever you have available to you. Just be resourceful. And this is a moment to just be, to just breathe. We'll stay here and I'll guide you in and guide you out for just a few minutes before we switch to the next posture. When we take a moment to breathe, to just be, all of the roles, the identities, the suits that we put on, we can take off and just set with our being. We just are this present moment. We just are here and now. I am. I am. I am. If you find the mind to be busy, using this mantra, I am. Just trusting in the process, allowing the mind and the body to settle into the posture. I am. I am. From here, very gently, very slowly, we'll lift the knee back into a neutral position like so, and bring the knee in towards the chest. Give it a little squeeze, a little compression. Is the microphone picking up my grumbly stomach? And then we'll extend the leg out long. Take a moment here to observe and notice the body. Notice that right side, that right hip. Does it feel open? Just observing. Notice right side, notice left side. From the crown of the head to your toes, just checking in. And then we'll come into our tree pose on the opposite side. So bending the foot so that it comes to the right knee. Grabbing your pillows and bringing them over to the alternate side here. And then dropping the knee, opening the hip here. Again, if you'd like, opening through the chest, you can T the arms, cactus the arms, raise them overhead. Listen to what feels right for you here today. In this space, this time, this practice is just being. Nobody needs anything from you. Nobody wants anything from you. Nothing needs to be solved mentally in the mind. This is space to just open, just be. No role needs to be played. No suit needs to be filled. Simply being. Simply this moment. If you find that the mind is still clinging to doing, to busyness, to chatter, you can give it something to focus on. Focus on this mantra. I am. I am. I am. Very gently, very softly, moving in a way that doesn't change how you feel in your body or your mind. Allow the knee to come back up to neutral. And we'll bring the knee in towards the chest. Just a very gentle compression here. And from here, we'll release the leg down, coming into a Shavasana posture. And simply opening the hands and taking a moment to observe the body from head to toe. Noticing now that left side, does that left hip feel more open? Very gently, very slowly now, bring both knees back up to neutral. And bring both knees in towards the chest. Compressing here. If you like, and it's available to you, you can use a strap to bind, so you'd set it underneath the back and bind the legs the way that my arms are holding here, so that you can release the arms down. But we're going to stay here for just a moment in this posture. Compressing the organs. It's good for digestion, getting that blood flow to the torso region. And also a subtle compression in that hip socket. Let the eyes fall closed. Settle into your being. I am. I am. I am. Very slowly now, start to release the feet back down to the mat. And you can massage the glutes by moving the knees side to side. Massage the hips. And we're going to move into a reclined butterfly posture. Remember that we're trying to have restorative pose here, so this is not a yin pose. We're not trying to stretch out the hips, so don't make this posture too deep. Nice and supported. So take a moment to readjust your pillows. We're going to put one on each side. But if that feels too deep, grab more pillows and stack them. So maybe you have 2 pillows on each side, like so. Maybe you use a larger pillow, like the one I have behind my head. And if you're just at home, any regular old pillows will do, pillows from your bed, the couch. Just make sure it's nice and supported. You'll settle naturally into the pose for just a gentle hip opener here. Take time to set yourself up in a posture that feels fully supported. You can place one hand on the belly, on the heart. If you're feeling like you want opening through the chest, same thing here. You can open to a T, a cactus, or if you want to connect and ground, one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. It's up to you. As you settle into the posture, if you need more cushions, make sure you take that time to adjust and find the right posture for you. You can also use the breath to settle into the posture. Letting go. Excuse me. We take this moment to settle into our being. Settle into the present moment here and now. Finding our authenticity. No role to be performed. Just being completely present to this moment and however it unfolds for you. Remember, you can always come back to the breath or to our mantra, I am, I am, I am. Start to notice how you feel in the body. Do you feel more open, grounded? Just notice. And we'll very gently bring the hands to the outside of the knees, moving slowly, moving mindfully, bringing the knees back together and the feet planted on the mat. We'll come into a counter pose here, walking the feet out. So you can see my feet are on the far side of the mat and my knees are stacked in on each other. So we pause here, a little bit of a counter pose, scanning from head to toe. Just be, just breathe. From here, we'll walk the feet back to neutral, meaning that the feet are in line with my hips. And let's windshield wiper the feet side to side. From here, we can take a little happy baby if that is in your practice. Sometimes happy baby can feel a little too vulnerable for people, and if that's you, that's perfectly okay. Maybe you try coming back to this posture. Sometimes that feels vulnerable too, in which case you can continue to rock the knees side to side, or you can listen to the body and take some intuitive movement. So for happy baby, we bring the knees in towards the chest, but then out towards the armpits. And we bring the feet up to the ceiling, grabbing either the outside of the feet like so, or using the index finger and the middle finger to wrap around the big toe like so. And then you kick and play like a happy baby. Really listening to your intuition, taking movements that feel right for you. Maybe you bring the feet together in a butterfly. Maybe you extend the feet out all the way for a big stretch. Maybe you just kick and play, rocking side to side. As you do this, you might feel massaging along the hips, along the spine. Bring the knees in, give it a little squeeze, and we'll release down for our Shavasana. If you don't have any pain in the low back and you're still feeling like you'd like more of a hip opener, you can take a pillow, a bolster. I suggest something a little bit smaller and set it directly underneath the hip, kind of by the tailbone, and you'll feel an opening through your Shavasana here. If that is too deep, simply come back down to your Shavasana like so. And we'll take a moment here to digest our practice. A moment of stillness, a moment of silence. start to breathe with more intention, never forced, just on purpose. The inhales will grow broader, and the exhales will be audible. Allowing the exhales to fall out of the mouth and the inhales to rise in the belly and the chest, the exhales to fall. And as you breathe more deeply, more energy is brought to the body. The energy that you want to carry with you for the rest of the day fills you up with every breath, and with every exhale, releasing anything that doesn't serve that. You don't need to try. The process happens naturally. Deeper breaths, more energy into the body. And so much energy enters into the body with every breath that you might even wiggle your fingers and your toes. You might even roll your wrist or your ankles. And with this next breath, you stretch completely overhead. And on the exhale, releasing the body. Completely soften and relax. If you opted to have a bolster or pillow underneath the hips, you can remove that and roll over to one side or the other. As if you were sleeping, as if you were just starting your day over. Take this moment to feel grateful for the space, the time that you've offered yourself in self-care here today. And very slowly, very mindfully, moving in a way that isn't going to change how you feel in the body or the mind, gently allow yourself to rise back to a seated posture. Taking your time, as much time as you need. Allowing yourself to arrive slowly, softly. Still using the breath, still feeling present. You can allow the eyes to remain closed if that still feels right to you. And just a moment of some meditation. Sometimes we take on so many different identities, social roles, in order to hide from our being, because we worry that if we don't have those, then there's nothing left. If I'm not my job, what am I? If I'm not this role to my family, what am I? If I'm not this role to society, then who am I? We worry that underneath all of those identities, that there is lack, that there is emptiness, but there is not. Underneath those identities, and the more that you can strip them away, the more that you realize that your being has a great deal of meaning, that your presence has a great deal of purpose. That's not to say that we shy away from our societal roles, but we see them as just that, roles. And underneath those roles, underneath those suits, those costumes, those identities, underneath all of that, in the silence, in the stillness, in our being, meaning is found there. Purpose is found there. Connection is found there. Very slowly allow the palms of your hands to meet at the heart center as a symbol of balance. Slowly, the palms of your hands will rise to the space between your brows. The thumbs will draw across the eyebrows and over to the temples, giving the temples a little bit of a massage here. The palms of your hands will cover the eyes completely. Open your eyes behind the palms. Gaze left and right and up and down. Circle your eyes around one way and the other. Then rinse the hands down your face, opening the eyes. The hands come over the neck, over the torso. Be kind to your body. Be kind to your mind. Thank you so much for joining me today, if you have. Thank you for the time that you spend in self-care. I absolutely believe that the time that you spend in self-care is for the highest good of us all. So I'm proud of you, and you should be proud of you too. And I will see you back here tomorrow. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day.